Never stop reading Bible. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here. Today we're looking at Psalms 66 through 70. Okay, so starting with Psalm 66, what really jumps out is this shift.
Right, talking about salvation for everyone.
But the material points out how it quickly pivots. It becomes very personal, that I testimony.
It's quite a transition, like going from this big group celebration.
For one individual stepping up with their own story. Yeah.
And the core message seems to be praising God for what he's already done, right? Past salvation.
Exactly. Because trusting in that past deliverance fuels the hope for future help.
And that personal experience, it's meant to push the whole world towards praising God.
That's the idea. It's not just for the individual.
And something else the sources highlighted about Psalm 66, the troubles, the hardships mentioned.
Yes. Verses 9 to 12. The material really stresses these aren't just, random bad things happen.
I have a purpose. Like refinement.
Precisely, like purification, making stronger, preventing stumbling down the line.
Okay, so a refining process, and that understanding leads somewhere specific.
It leads to commitment, to fulfilling vows made to God, and importantly, telling others about his works.
Got it. Okay, let's shift to Psalm 67. Now, this one feels a bit like a harvest Thanksgiving.
It does have that feel, but the sources you gave clarify that's not really its main point.
Interesting. So what is the focus then?
It's framed more as a high priest's prayer, taking God's grace shown to Israel.
And praying for that same salvation to reach everyone, all nations.
Exactly. Using Israel's blessing as a starting point for a global vision.
Wow. So God's blessing isn't just contained, it's meant to spread.
That's the prophetic element here, the spiritual blessings reaching everyone, just like the physical harvest in verses 6 and 7. It's a huge scope.
Okay, Psalm 68. This one feels epic. Covers a massive amount of history.
Oh, absolutely. From Moses in the wilderness right up to bringing the ark to Jerusalem.
And the material really paints a picture of God's power, like his mere appearance just scatters enemies.
Instantly, no contest. When God shows up, opposition just dissolves.
The sources also pointed out God's specific care for the vulnerable.
Yes, verses 3 to 6. Those struggling, feeling isolated orphans, widows, God's deep concern for them is highlighted.
And that power, it ties back to the Exodus and conquest.
Yeah, the material presents those events not just as history, but as a timeless display of God's unchanging power and faithfulness. Still relevant.
And God's word itself guarantees victory, even against strong enemies, verses 11-14.
That's the emphasis. And what's really powerful in verses 15 to 35 is how God sides with the weak, the saints, and leads them to victory.
Okay, turning now to Psalm 69. Very different feel here, a lament.
A deep one. The sources connect it to David's personal crises, maybe Absalom's or Adonijah's rebellion.
He sounds desperate, drowning, sinking in mire.
It's intense. He's pleading for God to act fast, and even for vengeance on his enemies.
But the material adds a condition or a basis for God's help here.
Right. It's tied to confessing sin and repenting, like in verses 4 to 5, and also recognizing that some suffering might be endured for God's sake, verses 6 to 9.
And even though he faced mockery, the sources note he didn't lash out violently.
No, he turned to prayer. Praying for deliverance, yes, but also asking for his enemy's ruin. Still, it ends looking forward.
Towards praise eventually.
Of course, a time of joyful praise, yeah. Hope remains.
And finally, Psalm 70. Short and very urgent.
Extremely urgent. A plea for speedy help, like right now.
What's the motivation behind that urgency?
It's interesting. David wants deliverance not just for himself, but so other believers will see it and rejoice too.
So his salvation becomes a reason for communal joy.
Exactly. And the basis for his plea is simply his own need, his poverty, his helplessness.
Which connects directly to the listener, how we can approach God.
Absolutely. The material shows that being poor and needy is in fact the very reason we can call on God quickly in trouble. He's our helper.
The source material for this deep dive was provided by the Center Studio.